class. I am Teacher Jaira Kahitmingaw, but you can call me Teacher Jai. I am from Davao de Oro State's College, main campus in Compostela. Are you guys ready for another exciting mathematics lessons? So am I. Before we begin, I want you to say, math is fun. Say with me, math is fun. Good job! To begin our lesson, let's state the objective first. At the end of the lessons, students will be able to, first is to define probability. Students will understand information and likelihood that something will happen. Next is, you will able to determine the probability of simple events. You will able to find the probability of simple event occurring. When finding the probability of an event occurring, students will use a formula. And the lastly is illustrate the probability in real-life situations. You will able to determine the chance of any event happening in real-life situations. So, our topic for today's discussion is all about probability of a simple event. In this lesson, we will use question and answers and problem solving along with technological tools such as Google Form, video games, and calculators. To begin, take out all your notebooks to take note the important matters, also to stimulate your knowledge and thinking. So today, we will learn about how to find the probability of a simple events. But before that, what is probability of simple events? Any idea from the class? Okay, so probability of simple events is finding the probability of a simple event occurring. When finding the probability of a simple event occurring, we will use the formula. Our formula is probability of a simple event is equal to number of outcomes where the events occurs over to the total number of possible outcomes. The probability of an event is the likelihood of its occurring. When we discuss the likelihood of an event happening in everyday life, we may use some common words to describe this likelihood. For example, certain, likely, very unlikely, and impossible. In mathematics, since we discuss mathematics, we can assign a numerical value to a probability, which is impossible events have a probability of 0 from impossible, and events that are certain to happen to have a probability of 1. And next is events that are equally like can be written with a probability of 0.5 or 1/2, like this. In this figure, impossible, unlikely, equally, likely, and certain. As we observe, equally likely is in the center, which is 0.5. And this impossible is 0, and the certain is 1. And the sum of the probability of all possible outcomes must equal to what? Is equal to? Yes, is equal to 1. For example, when flipping a coin, I have a coin here. The probability of getting heads plus the probability of getting nails is 1. This is because the probability of getting either one of heads or tails is certain. That is a probability of 1. In terms of probability in a simple event refers to an event with a single outcome. For example, getting heads with a single toss of coin or rolling a 4 on a die. We also need to consider fairness when discussing probability. We have this called fair experiments. A probability experiment is considered as a fair if all outcomes are equally likely. An experiment where the outcomes are not equally likely is unfair or biased. Consider the situation of flipping a fair coin. It can be described as a fair as the outcomes are equally likely. If the coin has sides, heads, and tails, then the outcome of getting tails would be one outcome of a possible two outcomes. We could written this as a fraction of what? We could written this a fraction of 1/2. Yes, 1/2. Commonly in probability, we may use the notation P event to represent the probability of an event occurring. Since our formula is probability of an event is equal to number of outcomes where the event occurs over the total of number of possible outcomes. For example, when selecting a green or blue from a bag, we can consider this as a P green can be used to represent the probability of selecting a green ball since we select a green. And then we can consider as P blue can be used to represent the probability of selecting a blue ball. In that, we can now see how this information can be applied in a number of different examples. Any question from the class? None so far? Okay, let's go to our example. Our example number 1, determining the theoretical probability of an event. A class has 18 boys and 9 girls. What is the probability that a randomly selected student is a girl? We can recall that the probability of simple event can be written as probability of an event is equal to number of outcomes where the event occurs over the total of possible outcomes. In this case, we need to calculate the probability of selecting a girl, which we can write as P girl. We can write the statement P girl is equal to number of girls over the total of students. As there are 18 boys and 9 girls in the class, then the total of students must be 18 plus 9. Yes, 27. Substituting the information that the number of girls are 9 and the total number of students are 27. So we have P girl is equal to 9 over 27. So simplifying this fraction, we have P girl is equal to 1/3. Thus, the probability that a randomly selected student is a girl is 1/3. So the answer is 1/3. Does anyone understand our example number 1? Okay, very good. Okay, let's go to another example. Consider another example and it's your turn to answer this another example. So we have example number 3, determining the probability of an event. You can now answer this example in 5 minutes. Probability of picking a card with a number divisible by 5 from this deck of card is, what's your answer? Yes, 18 over 81. Great job, class. I hope you learned from our lesson today. I will see you next for another exciting mathematics class. Always remember, math is fun. Again, math is fun. This is Teacher Jai saying goodbye.